On a snowy Christmas night in Chicago, little Charlie is overtaken by tragedy. His parents die in a car accident, and the police take the orphaned boy to the station. Soon, his grandmother Agatha comes to pick him up and takes him to her warm, cozy house in the town of Demopolis, Alabama. But the bereaved child does not respond to her care in any way, although the old woman herself suffers from the loss of her daughter. Despite this, Agatha does not lose heart. Her energy and perseverance gradually break through the wall of childhood sadness. Nevertheless, Charlie prefers to spend most of his time alone, and then Grandma decides to give him a pet, a little snow-white mouse. The boy gives her the name Daisy and enthusiastically trains her, teaching her circus tricks. Gradually, the life of their small family begins to improve. One sunny day, a grandmother and her grandson go to the store. A woman chooses groceries, and a boy picks up tools to build her house for Daisy. While he is rummaging through the nail boxes, Grandma is suddenly shackled by a severe coughing fit, which she subdues with herbs from the counter. In Demopolis, Agatha is known as a healer. With her infusions and spells, she can help almost anyone. At the same time, a strange woman sneaks up to the boy among the shelves and holds out a candy in her gloved hand, along which a pet snake wriggles. Her smooth movements put Charlie in a strange daze. But his grandmother's voice brings him back to his senses, and the stranger instantly disappears, as if she disappears into thin air. The frightened boy rushes to Agatha and begs her to leave as soon as possible. She agrees, although she is again tormented by a persistent cough, after which the old woman looks anxiously at her handkerchief. One gloomy evening with a thunderstorm outside the window, Grandma notices her grandson's thoughtfulness and asks him to tell her exactly what scared him in the store. After hearing the description of the strange lady, Agatha realizes that her worst fears have come true. Charlie thinks it's a joke, but the seriousness of the old lady convinces him otherwise. Then she remembers a story from her childhood. She had a friend, Alice Bloom, and they lived next door and always helped each other. But one day Alice violated the main prohibition. She took a sweet from a stranger. A woman with an intimidating toothy smile handed the girl a piece of candy, and in the evening, Agatha still saw her friend alive. But in the morning, something irreparable happened. Alice, enchanted, turned into a chicken. None of the adults believed the story, and Agatha could only visit her ex-friend in the chicken coop. These memories excite the old woman, and she realizes that trouble is coming. After opening a secret room with potions and tinctures, Agatha performs a ritual with stones that predicts the need to escape. She decides to hide in a hotel for wealthy guests where her cousin Eston has been working as a chef for 30 years. In the morning, after packing their things and taking Daisy with them, they set off. On the way, Grandma tells Charlie that witches live in every city and in every country, and they all obey the supreme witch, merciless, treacherous, and powerful. Their car stops at the entrance to a luxury hotel, where the doorman helps unload their belongings and welcomes new guests. After checking into room 766, they go upstairs to their room. As soon as they disappear into the elevator after greeting the kind receptionist, Mr. Stringer, they notice women with unusual makeup at the corners of their mouths entering the hotel. Stringer tries to show them respect, but his cordiality disappears when a black cat appears on the shoulder of the leader, which is strictly prohibited by the rules. The woman jokingly suggests imagining that the hotel is infested with mice, and then Krylov's intervention will be required. Unsuspecting Charlie and Agatha are having a quiet conversation in their room before going to bed, discussing how to recognize a witch. The old woman explains to her grandson that the corners of the witches' mouths reach to their ears, and their fingers replace claws, so they always wear gloves. Their feet seem to have been chopped off with an axe, and their heads are hairless, so witches have to wear wigs, suffering excruciating itching. And yet, their nostrils expand to enormous sizes when they need to smell a child, the smell of which they hate. After these stories, the grandmother and the boy calmly fall asleep, thinking that they're safe. They don't even suspect that they are already being watched by their mistress's faithful servant, who soon returns to room 666. The next morning off the Gulf of Mexico is greeted by clear weather. Waking up before Grandma, Charlie orders breakfast. But the old lady bursts into coughing again and decides to stay in bed and gives her grandson the freedom to explore the hotel. Together with Daisy, he goes in search of a secluded place for training and stumbles upon a banquet hall where the Society for the Protection of Children's Rights gathers. At the entrance, he runs into the chubby boy Bruno and offers to show him the tricks of his mouse. But Bruno's mother suddenly appears and takes her son away. After closing the door, Charlie settles on the stage, preparing a rope test for Daisy. However, the workout doesn't start, the lights turn on, and Mr. Stringer enters the gym accompanied by the women who checked in the day before. They escort the receptionist and lock the doors. When the leader comes to the podium, she is alarmed by the smell, but deciding not to pay attention, she begins the meeting. To Charlie's amazement, on her orders, all the women simultaneously take off their gloves, shoes, and wigs, showing their true appearance. The Supreme Witch announces to her minions her plan to destroy all the children. Everyone should open a pastry shop and sell sweets filled with her potion, formula number 86, Mouse Changer. To the enthusiastic applause of the witches, she suddenly smells the baby again. The listeners freeze, and she goes to the ventilation where the smell is coming from, but she's distracted by a knock on the door. The women quickly disguise themselves and let Bruno in. An hour earlier, Bruno had eaten a chocolate bar from the hands of the Supreme Witch, unaware that it had been poisoned. Now when he comes for more, he turns into a mouse right in front of the witches. They rush to crush him, but Daisy rushes in and pulls him out of trouble by the tail. Bruno is at a loss and doesn't even realize that he has become a rodent. At this time, the Supreme Witch pulls Charlie out of hiding and pours a potion into his ear. In an instant, he also turns into a mouse, but Daisy saves him from death. So the trio manages to slip away. In a safe place, Daisy confesses that she used to be a girl named Mary and was also a victim of the witch. The friends decide to find a grandmother, who will surely come up with something. Having barely made their way to room 766, they encounter a maid who makes a fuss, but accidentally drives them straight into Agatha's room. There, Charlie explains everything to his grandmother. The Supreme Witch has bewitched him, and the hotel is overrun by her accomplices. Mary reveals the truth about herself. At this moment, there's a knock. A hotel employee brings traps with cheese to fight mice. When he leaves, the company decides that the only way out is to steal the potion. Fortunately, Mary knows that the Supreme Witch's lair is located one floor below. They wait until she leaves for lunch, and Grandma lets her grandson down from the balcony in a sock. Charlie gets the vial, but the witch unexpectedly returns. Hiding, he still manages to escape, and his grandmother covers him, explaining that she dropped her knitting. The witch almost recognizes her face, but can't remember from. At this point, Mr. Stringer distracts attention by presenting a carrier for the cat Hades. Agatha is trying to make an antidote, but her tinctures are too weak. Then the mouse company decides to act differently. Pour the potion into the pea soup intended for the witch's banquet. Charlie sneaks into the kitchen and successfully executes the plan. In the bar, meanwhile, Grandma shows Bruno's parents their son in the form of a mouse, but he's busy with a cracker and is silent. Fortunately, Charlie returns and reports that the mission was a success. Soon, the Supreme Witch notices Agatha and remembers her past, but the villainous plan collapses. Her entourage, one by one, turn into rats from the potion in the soup. In panic, the company escapes and steals her room key. Entering the lair, they collect bubbles, but then the witch herself appears. She's ready to kill Agatha because she hasn't eaten any soup herself. But the mice come up with a trap. They launch a vial of potion directly into her mouth. The villainess turns into a nasty rat herself. Agatha opens the chest and finds a book with the addresses of all the witches. Now, they decide to use her wealth and potions to destroy evil all over the world. The Supreme Witch herself is left alone with her cat Hades. After a while, their unusual family, a grandmother and 3 mice, live happily together, having completed their dangerous but heroic mission.